How do you deal with relationships that are almost completely one-sided? Next. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I'm wearing a beanie. I don't know what this means. It's, I don't care, honestly. I just don't. I kind of had like a shit night last night, and I've had like a shitty go at life recently. And I was like, I'm sure people can relate. And you may be thinking, Annika, why are you doing an advice video? Isn't your life a complete mess? And to that I would answer, yes, you are correct. My life is a series of unfortunate events, but I feel like a lot of people's are. And sometimes giving advice helps. So this video is selfish because I need to learn what it's like to take my own advice. And I would say I'm decent at advice. So, well, you guys can be the judge of that. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, I asked you guys to just reply to one of my stories. Not really like anything fitness or nutrition or like beauty related, more just mental health and relationship questions and like just life advice kind of. And I got an overwhelming number of responses. I'm sorry, there's no way I could get even too close to all of them, but I did pick questions that were kind of like repeats of each other. So I feel like a lot of the questions I picked sum up a lot of the questions that I got. There was tons about, was that really Canadian the way I said that? I honestly got sort of emotional reading a lot of these questions because a lot of you guys are like going through shit, and which I already knew, but just to like really see in front of you. I don't know, I just want to give you all a hug and tell you that I relate, and there are so many people who relate to, even if I can't specifically. So we're just gonna roll through them, and I'm just gonna say what comes to my mind. So this could be scary. How can I bring awareness to people in my life who make light of / joke about mental health? I totally get that. I think there's two types of like joking about mental health. Like I joke about my mental health because it just like takes the stress off of having it. And I joke with my friends who were on the same page of joking about it. I mean, I don't know, it's easier for me to cope with when you add comedy to it. But when it comes to people joking about it, like depression isn't serious, or like make light of it being like, oh yeah, like you're just feeling sad today. Like that type of, I guess the word would be, that was my phone. Oh my God, thank God. I was like, I'm too poor to get that fixed. Yeah, so I guess the better word would be people who invalidate and like, it's kind of like, haha, depression, haha, suicide. Like that's not chill, especially if like they don't know what it's like and they're just being very ignorant about it. I would definitely say if they're close in your life, you need to talk to them and tell you how you feel about it, because often if they love you, chances are they don't even know that it's hurting your feelings and they can't read your mind. And some people are just stupid sometimes. I mean, God knows I am, but like you just have to, I know what it's like to be insensitive about something and then not even realize that it's upsetting someone. So I would just like, you can be super chill about it. Just be like, by the way, like sometimes you're like, I don't know, suicide jokes, they're not as funny as you think they are. And honestly, even saying something that small, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, whoa, I didn't even know. And I would feel uncomfortable and I'd feel bad. Like you don't want to make them uncomfortable, but you want them to be aware that like, hey, it's not always fun and games for me. So I don't know, I personally would just take it like really chill and like bring it up to them slowly. And if things don't change, then you get more serious. But I think just like being open about it and being like, hey, like I don't appreciate it might do more than you think it will. Okay, so now to a very popular question. How do you move on from a breakup, specifically if it seems like they have moved on? That is such a hard part about breakups. So the first chunk of that, how do you move on from a breakup? It's time, which is the most frustrating and oversaid thing in the world. Time heals all wounds, and that's not true for everything, but for my back hurts, I'm so old. Oh. But for breakups, unfortunately, I wish there was like a button you could press to be like, over this stupid bitch. Sometimes it just takes time. My number one advice is to not have contact. And it's the people who are stalking their ex on social media, texting them, sleeping with them, talking to them, saying this is space. That's not space, and that's not cutting off contact. You're gonna start from zero every time you see that person. Delete the photos you have on your phone. Don't look at them. Cry about them when you need to. When you wake up one day and you're randomly sad about them, cry, but then get your shit together and understand that this is gonna pass, and I know what it's like to be bedridden from heartbreak. I know, trust me. But moving on, after the initial like, holy fuck, I'm single, like in bed, bawling your eyes out for however many days, after a while, when it comes on to like the moving on stage, cut the contact. No talking to them. Social media is the devil. Don't look at their shit. Actually, sometimes, I know this sounds kind of weird, but ask them to block you so you can't unblock them. Delete all your fake accounts so you can stalk them on it. And then also having distractions sometimes helps, like talking to new guys or girls, like that. Sometimes it's kind of nice to like get attention, and I'm just keeping it real with you. And then specifically if it seems like they have moved on, that is the hardest part. During a breakup, it's like, well, I want to win the breakup. Well, they still probably love me, right? Well, they're going to come back, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, which is so unbelievably tough to accept, is that it does not matter what they are doing. If it makes you feel a little better for 5 minutes saying that they're probably suffering, then think that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You are two separate lives now. Like, you are your own person. I mean, you always have been, but you need to really embrace that idea now that it doesn't matter if they have the best life in the entire world and marry someone and are unbelievably happy or are absolutely miserable without you. The point is you. Like, when you go through a breakup, you need to be selfish. You need to focus on yourself. And I hate when people say focus on yourself, because like, what does that even mean? When I say focus on myself, I mean, don't focus on them. Don't focus on what they're doing. And I know sometimes it feels good to be like, they're never gonna get better, blah, 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 which may be true, who knows? But if it seems like they've moved on, it's so harsh, but that would just give me like a kick in my ass to be like, okay, I'm a badass bitch. It is time to stop crying over someone who left me. And the person who's you're gonna end up with would never put themselves in a position to lose you. So it's a tough life lesson, but it's like, why waste your youth worrying about them anyways? Like, but I get it. I get it. Like, I know what it's like to be madly in love with someone who treats you like a piece of shit. Trust me, we've all been there. How to deal when you're having a bad day and don't see a point in trying. We all have bad days. Regardless of if you have mental illness or not, we all have bad days, and we all have days where we wake up and we're like, holy fuck, there's no point in trying. This is not gonna get better. This too shall pass. That is all I can say, is this is going to pass, and the best thing you can do for yourself is self-care. And self-care sometimes means staying in bed and watching Netflix and having tea and ordering good food. But then self-care also means having self-discipline. Sometimes it means forcing yourself to do things that you don't want to do. Self-care is going to the gym when you don't feel like it. Self-care is doing something productive when it's probably not fun. Self-care is sometimes getting your shit together and getting your ass out the door, because usually when I'm having those terrible days, they get progressively worse when I stay in bed. Even something little. Walking to the store, gonna go see a friend, visit your friend at work, you go to work, read a book, learn something new. Even if it's something small, chances are that's gonna make your day a little bit better. And if it doesn't, then that's a shitty day, but tomorrow's a new day. And if it's consistent, then I get that. I've been in slums, and sometimes life just sucks for a long period of time, but it is going to pass. That's what happens in life. So is the happiness. The happiness is also gonna pass. Wow. This sounds like a TED Talk. I'm getting really serious, but it's true. Happiness passes as well. Advice on fights where the other person blames everything on you, LOL. You know, it's like that tweet or meme or whatever when it's like, fighting with an idiot is so impossible because they don't even know what you're saying. That is me fighting with so many people. If they're blaming everything on you, then they're probably just super immature, and I would just stop talking to them and be like, okay, and then go talk to someone who like is over the age of 12. What are your top 3 self-care activities for helping with anxiety and mental health? That's a good question. Self-care activities. Okay, so I'm thinking like specific if you're in like crisis mode or in sad mode, whatever, feeling super anxious. So going to the gym, basic, but true, it gets the endorphins going. Not if I'm in like major crisis mode, like I'm having like an anxiety attack, or I just like someone just did something horrible, I found out something horrible, I'm not gonna go to the gym, because I would bawl my eyes out. The amount of times I've left the gym crying. I don't know, going to the gym is just such a great thing to do for yourself. It practices discipline, it's good for you. Forcing myself to see friends, and that doesn't mean like forcing yourself to go out, whatever. It doesn't mean you need to go get wasted or go to a club. Just seeing even one friend, if one friend is available. If not, your sister, your dad, your mom, your dog, someone, go see someone. Like, having human communication, sometimes I don't even realize how long I go sometimes of just like not leaving my house. And it's such a great thing to get other people's perspectives or to get someone else to make you laugh. Those little things, like that's such an important thing to do when you're down, when you're feeling down. Honestly, making a list sounds super annoying, but this is specifically, I guess, for the morning, or you could do it for the next day, but if I'm feeling kind of anxious or depressed or whatever, it really helps me to feel productive. So I'll write down a realistic list that I can get done. Like, the list could literally be 3 things. Like, tomorrow I'm going to, or today I'm going to go to the gym, tidy my room for 30 minutes, and work on either school or work or whatever for 3 hours. And then when you like cross off that list, like you feel like you did something productive. That's important for me, is just doing something productive. And people don't see that as self-care often. People see self-care as solely, like as I was talking about before, solely like eating ice cream, which is amazing. That is a great sometimes you need to do that. I do that so much. Just veg in bed and eat good food, and that's great, but often the things that are going to help you more long-term are actual self-care, and that's getting yourself to do things that may not be easy in the moment. Do you think you can be with someone who also struggles with mental illness, or is it doomed? I think so many people struggle with mental illness. I think a lot of people struggle with it at some point in their life, and being with someone has nothing to do with the problems that they cannot control. It has to do with how good of a match you are for each other. I mean, you could easily be with someone who is also depressed or whatever, just as someone with asthma can be with someone with asthma, as long as you're supporting each other in a healthy way, and you're not, for example, if someone who has depression dated someone with depression and like we egged each other on in a negative way and like all just like laid in bed and said, I'm so depressed, I don't want to be here, blah, 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 and it just like, it was like unhealthy in that way, then ow, just fucking hit my new tattoo. No, but it can also be so beneficial if you're with someone who understands what you've gone through for so long, and you guys can also help each other get better. Or mental health doesn't always have to be a huge part in someone's life. Like, mental health wasn't always a big part of my relationships because it was my personal problem that I dealt with in other ways. Like, try in general to not bring mental health into your relationship too much. Having support is amazing, but becomes an unhealthy line that you can cross, I think. And you need to understand that your struggles are your struggles. And just because you're dating someone doesn't mean that they can be your like punching bag. They're not your therapist. They're there for support. And if they're a good human being, they're gonna support you through everything. But at the same time, there's a line. And you don't wanna put everything on them because everyone gets worn down no matter what. So no, you can be with whoever you're a good fit with. It shouldn't have to do with mental health, I don't think. Like, your diagnoses of mental health, how you deal with it maybe, but if you're both diagnosed with anxiety, like, you guys can be anxious together. I feel like every time I get into a relationship with a guy, they lose interest really fast. Help. Okay, listen. Every human being on planet Earth deserves someone that loves them more every day. And you will find that. And that doesn't have to be, some people are really intense about it, and some people are very subtly in love, whatever. If someone loses interest in you, they are simply not the one, and there's no other way for me to put that. If someone wants to backtrack in a relationship, trust me, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily their fault or whatever, but do not, for the love of God, waste your time on someone who's losing interest in you. I know what it's like to feel like someone's losing interest in you, and I've been through ups and downs with people, and sometimes that's not what they meant, and sometimes you're overthinking it in your head, like you think they're losing interest when they're not. That's different. If they actually are genuinely losing interest in you and it's clear and they've kind of like hinted at that, then like, move on. You deserve someone that loves every little thing about you, and like even your bullshit flaws, like they're willing to be okay with that. I don't know, but like they should find you so interesting. Like that is, no. I refuse to let you be with someone no. I get anxiety attacks where I cry for hours. Any advice on how to stop this before it happens? Cold or hot showers, they like biologically, cold or hot temperatures slow your heart rate down. So if you can like splash your face with cold water, even get in the shower, it's gonna like level out your heart rate a little more. Tea sounds super basic. Funny show if you feel it coming on. And then if it happens, I suggest reaching out for help for like to a parent or something. Because usually having another human in the room kind of rationalizes me a little bit. Because when you get caught up in your own thoughts, anything is possible in your own head. When you have another like rational person standing there telling you to, hey, like calm down, or asking you what's wrong, you speak and like you come back down to earth a little bit. And then sometimes you also just need to fucking cry. Last night I cried myself to sleep. You know? How do you motivate yourself to do things that you don't enjoy but have to do? Understanding that it's important for my mental health and it's important for my self-care and that it's gonna feel better afterwards. You could just try to think back on the last time you can like convince yourself to do something that maybe wasn't the best, but then you felt better afterwards. Or things like school or even the gym sometimes. Like I don't wanna do it, but I know that it's good for me and it's beneficial for me, and you just kind of it's an act of self-discipline, and discipline I feel is like a muscle. It gets stronger the more you work at it, and discipline is an act of self-love. It's something I need to get better at. I need to get a lot better at discipline. How do you deal with the pressures of school and society? So this is an interesting one because I'm actually a university dropout. Like I finished a year at school and then I stopped because of mental stuff and other stuff and whatever, just like wasn't the best point of my life. And I know it's such, like I grew up in a wealthy neighborhood in Toronto. Everyone goes to university right out of high school, gets their degree, gets into an office job, and like that's just like the way it goes. So when I tell people that I'm not in school, they're like kind of weirded out. Most people handle it well, but and it's also weird for me because high school was very important to me. I did really well in high school. School's always like, I was always like, I want to be a lawyer, whatever. But life changes, and if school is not for you, it's not for you. And that doesn't mean you can't always go back or do something else, but there's so many options in life that people don't understand. And I think it's important for kids to realize that if you're like severely struggling at school, not even academically, like mentally, like I was, or it just doesn't feel right, it doesn't, like, society is fucking bullshit. Like, why? I don't need to get the same degree everyone else is getting to be successful in different, like, success is such a relative term. You don't always have to know your immediate passion. And if you don't want to be in school right now or ever, that is your decision. It is your life. It is no one else's. What do you find is the best way to stay motivated while being self-employed? Yeah, going along with not being in school is I am like self-employed. It is hard. Yeah, let me know if you have advice for that, because that is something I need to get a lot better at. And that was a huge New Year's resolution that I had. My advice, because this is an advice video, have a certain time to wake up. Have a plan, just like you would have a plan at school or at an office job. You have a certain number of hours. You sit down and work. You can take a break for food. You sit down and work for another how many hours, and then you do whatever. Having a schedule and having structure in your life is so important, not only for your mental health, but to be productive in being self-employed, I guess, which is something that I'm working at getting better at too. I'm a super jealous person in my relationship even after 4 years. How do I stop this? Jealousy is such a shitty trait for someone to have, but at the same time, like, we all have it, and it's such a shitty feeling as well. I've definitely been jealous of in my relationships or of other girls, guys, like anyone. Like, I think we all experience jealousy. If you say that you've never been jealous of anyone, you're lying. Is he giving you a reason to be jealous, or is it just stemming from insecurity? Because jealousy usually comes from insecurity. Lately, I am insecure in certain ways, but lately I found like I'm much more secure with myself as who I am as like a person, and I'm so much less jealous. Like, genuinely liking yourself as a person takes away so much other jealousy. So maybe you should ask yourself in this relationship, is the reason why you're constantly thinking about other girls is because you don't feel secure in as who you are? Trust the person you're in a relationship with, or don't be in a relationship with them. There is no walking the tightrope. I've tried to walk the tightrope before of getting back someone's trust, but not committing fully to trusting them, and like kind of not trusting them. It is so toxic. You're gonna fight so much, and it's unfair to both of you. So just decide if you're gonna trust them or not. And if you don't trust them, don't be with that person, you know? And if you do trust them, but you're just like kind of a jealous person, then definitely just look into more ways of how you can be secure in yourself. How do you get boys to like you? I promise that if you try a bunch of tactics that are like disingenuous and try to get people to like you for like, by like trying to get them to like you and like changing who you are, you're gonna attract not good matches for yourself. And it sounds so cliche, but like, be yourself. But it's true, like I'd way fucking rather someone to like me for me and it take longer to find that person than like forcing guys that I have crushes on to like me when I'm like, and then they like me for someone who I'm not even. Like they like me for something that I pretended to be so that they would like me. Like, ugh, no. Why don't people like me? LOL. At first I laughed at this and was like, retweet. Then this question actually made me sad because like I know what it's like to feel like that. Like, why don't people like me? They do. People do like you. I know what it's like to feel like everyone hates you, but they don't. There are people who are gonna wanna be your friend and who probably already do wanna be your friend. Just focus on being a good person. Focus on being a person that would make yourself proud. And focus on being someone that you'd wanna be friends with, who has good morals and good values and treats people well. And people will like you. And if it's assholes at school where it's the cool thing to do to not like you, because trust me, I've been there, fuck them. High school is nothing. You're gonna get out of that, but don't try to convince people to like you. Focus on being a good person and people will like you. Put yourself out there and try to meet new people and make new friends, wherever that may be, in what section of your life. But if people don't like you, then they're not your people. Not everyone will like you. A lot of people don't like me. Does that not mean I'm not extremely loved by the ones who do? You're never, ever, ever gonna get everyone to like you. Ever. That is a very tough lesson that I've learned, especially in like social media and stuff. There are gonna be people who hate you for a reason, for not a reason, whatever. You may as well focus on the people who love you and like you. Is playing it cool overrated? Yes. I'm not saying go up to someone and say that you love them. Living your life with a guard up or building a wall for people, okay, it might protect you from getting hurt by some people, but you're gonna hurt in so many other parts of your life. How could you possibly feel genuine joy and happiness and get that like amazing high you get from liking someone or someone liking you if you have your guard up all the time? There's something admirable about letting your guard down and telling someone how you feel and being vulnerable and allowing yourself to feel rather than stopping yourself from constantly having any feeling at all. To me, that's just a sad way to live. How do you stay positive in a sea storm of shit that is life? It's so much easier to give up. I assume what I take from this is like suicide, and that's something that is absolutely destroying people around you, whether you think it or not. That is one thing in this world that I can guarantee for sure, that you cannot do that to yourself because it's going to destroy everyone else around you. How do I stay positive? I'm not always positive at all. Sometimes I'm super negative, but life is shit. Life is consistent kicks in the gut. When one thing goes well for me, something else bad happens. Like 3 bad things just happened to me recently. I'm like, holy fuck, like where's my break? But that's life. Like there's something called being a happiness chaser. And it's those people who are never happy. Because if you're like, the stupidest thing I've heard is, all I want to do in life is be happy. Or all these stupid fucking quotes that grind my gears on the internet of, focus on being happy. Like this is the key to happiness. There's no such thing as everyone feels happy. We feel happy sometimes, and then we feel sad sometimes. Oh, okay, if I buy a fancy house and a fancy car, that's when I'm gonna be happy. No, you're not. You're gonna still have terrible days. You're gonna still have amazing days. Life is not about being happy. Life is about figuring out how to ride the wave of those emotions, of different emotions, and understanding that the happiness is gonna pass and so will the sad pass. And that's kind of the fucked up but like beautiful thing about life, is that it's not always just happy. There's people who are happier more than others. Of course, life is sometimes not fair, and maybe those people are actually better at looking on the bright side of things. But if you can pick out just the small positive things in life and like appreciate those happy moments and understand and accept that a sad moment is gonna happen in life, you're gonna be way less terrified of life, just to understand that, you know what, life is gonna suck sometimes, but life is also gonna be pretty awesome sometimes. It's just like making the best out of shitty situations. And yeah, a bunch of horrible things just happen to me, but life goes on, and soon good things will happen to me, and then bad things will happen again, and then good things will happen again. That's just life. Where the fuck do I meet decent boys in uni? Nowhere. They are nowhere to be found. How do you, if you experience it, deal with jealousy from friends or people in your life? I think true friends that love you and care about you aren't gonna be jealous of you, honestly. Like, growing up, girls were sometimes so fucking mean to me and called themselves my friends, but then wouldn't be happy for you when something good happened to you. My best friends now, I know that they're not jealous of me because they love me and they care about my well-being and they want the best for me. They don't want to see me hurt or fall down or do badly in life. They want to see me do well in life because I want the same for them. And so it's just about finding the right people, and people who are jealous of you and mean to you because of that are just so insecure and suck. Best relationship advice. Something that I always say that's really important to me that I don't think a lot of people get is it's important to love someone how they need to be loved. There is no point loving someone and then not listening to how they need to be loved to feel fulfilled. And that doesn't mean changing your way of life. It means changing your way of love, because loving someone is going to be different in every relationship. Let's say someone expresses themselves by saying, I love you once a year. And the other person's like, but I need more than that. And they're like, well, that's just the way I am. Sorry, like, accept it. That's the way I love. It's like, well, that other person isn't gonna feel fulfilled. That doesn't mean changing every little thing about them and making them be perfect, but this whole, like, people in relationships not willing to sacrifice or adjust at all to make the other person feel like good, it's just gross to me. How do you deal with someone who cheats on you then claims they love you? No. There are circumstances, because there's always circumstances in life. Nothing is ever like black and white, but I'm stressed. I'm stressed out by that question. How do I stop caring about what people think of me? You're never gonna. You're a human being and you care about what people think, but I think it's important to find a line in like, how much do you care about what people think of you and who cares about you? For example, if I cared about what everyone on the internet thought of me, but if I care about like what my best friend thinks of me, I think that's a good thing. I think that's how we mold into good people, like caring about what people think of you, like not being disrespectful in public, for example. But then there's also things that don't affect other people that you shouldn't care about what they think, like the style you want to wear or the photos you want to post. If you're not hurting yourself or anyone else, the right people are gonna come into your life because of that. And they're gonna like you for those little weird quirks that you have and for the weird things that you do or whatever, and they're not gonna judge you for that shit. How do you start saying I love you to someone new after a breakup? Whenever you freaking want to, girl. Life is too damn short. Feeling alone. Feeling alone is one of the main things I struggle with. Like, I could be surrounded by 10 people and I can still feel alone. Self-love and reminding yourself that you're not. And sometimes it's okay to be alone. It's okay to feel alone, and being very present and mindful when you are with people and very engaging in conversation and listening to what people are saying to you and hanging out with people who kind of give you like a spark, who are kind of interesting, or maybe they're a little weird or energetic or something that make you feel alive. That sometimes makes me feel a little less alone. I'm gonna have to edit this so much because otherwise it's gonna be so boring. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. I know I didn't get to a bunch because there were so many. Thank you guys for asking them. Some of the questions were so good, but maybe just hearing someone else's perspective was helpful at all. And I know that maybe some of you disagree or have other opinions on how you would handle a certain situation. That's totally fine. That's like every human ever. No one's gonna agree with each other on different situations. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end of this, you're a real one. I appreciate you guys so much more than you know, and I hope you guys stay strong and we're like all in this shithole life together, so don't worry. I will see you in my next video.